What is going on, guys? Johnny on the track, back with another video, and I wanted to have some fun this week. Obviously, the betting show has dropped, so if you are listening here and you haven't seen the betting show for Mexico City, you can go to my channel and find that video. That is the most recent video I have posted, but. Obviously, we've got a new event. The Cup Series and the Xfinity Series are headed international to Mexico City, which should be a lot of fun. Marquee event on the schedule this year for NASCAR, one that I think they've been trying to pull off some sort of an international race for a while. And it's pretty cool that we'll be able to watch a international race, this being in Mexico City, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. The broadcast partner Amazon Prime has been terrific so far with their coverage. So I think they're going to bring some awesome stuff to this broadcast because they know it is a big one in Mexico City this Sunday afternoon. So I wanted to make this video to kind of go through, in my opinion, the five biggest storylines heading into Sunday's Cup race. We are only going to talk Cup. I guess one does lean a little bit into Xfinity, but overall, we are only going to be talking Cup. So, without further ado, the five biggest storylines for NASCAR heading into Mexico City. Number one, I'm going to start with one that I think is on the smaller side. That is the story around most recent Cup winner last week at Michigan, three-time winner already this year, third in points in the Cup Series. The story around Denny Hamlin. Now, Denny Hamlin and his fiance Taylor, I believe is her Jordan rather. Sorry, Taylor is his daughter. Jordan are expecting their first baby boy, their third child. And Denny Hamlin has stated that if the baby has not arrived by Thursday, really, or when they expect to head out to Mexico City, which most teams have said it's Thursday. Denny Hamlin will miss this weekend's Cup Series race. Now, overall, is it a huge detriment to miss this race? Playoff wise, eligibility wise, that's a mouthful. No, because the birth of a child, written in the rules, is an acceptable reason to miss a NASCAR Cup Series race and be granted a playoff waiver to be eligible for the playoffs. So overall, Denny Hamlin, it's not going to affect him if, in fact, he misses this race based on, the birth of his son. So not a big deal there, but you kind of read in between the lines, and it actually does seem like this at one point down the line later in the season could actually come back to haunt Denny Hamlin if he does in fact have to miss this Sunday's race. Now I'm recording this on at 6:43 Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday evening, and right now there has been no word on if Denny Hamlin, is at the hospital, if he's, if his fiance is still is close. I know she is close, but still, I mean, could that be a week away? Who knows? But we have had no updates as of 6:44 now p.m. Eastern Standard on Wednesday evening. Now, again, if a lot of these teams are heading out Thursday night, whatever that may be, there's practice on Friday. This could be big for Denny Hamlin because, like I said, although he would be eligible for the playoffs, he is going to lose a chunk of points by not racing in this race. Now, Ryan Truex is the backup driver. They've already announced that Ryan Truex, brother of Martin Truex Jr., would hop right into this car and Ryan would run this weekend's Cup Series race in place of Denny Hamlin. But this is a guy that is still within reach of the regular season championship. He's right there battling, in that top five for regular season point standings. Those lost points at this race, and in my opinion, in the end, could come back to haunt Denny Hamlin in the long run. Now, I get the decision. This is family first always, and so I respect Danny Hamlin on that, realm of things. But we do have to talk about the fact that these points go a long way, right? And you get based on your seeding in the regular season, you get extra playoff points. So let's say if in the end Denny Hamlin, missing this race, he loses say 35, 40 points on some of those other guys, and that may drop him, let's say, a spot or two in the regular season standings. Well, those points, they always seem to come back to hurt people. Like always, always, always. I remember Kevin Harvick needed a couple more points to get through to the final four one of the years, and it just always seems to happen where those points mean so much at the end. So to me, this is a big storyline, one that I think everybody will be following because it's a superstar. It's obviously a guy that puts asses in the seats. The best way to say that, right? I know it's a little funny, but that's kind of the best way to say it. Denny Hamlin has really, elevated himself to superstar both on and off the track. It is what people want to see. They want to see Denny Hamlin either win a race or get wrecked or finish last, whatever it may be. Denny Hamlin is a draw. So just overall, from a lot of different perspectives, this is a big storyline heading into Sunday. Let's go to the weather. Weather to me is another one that is definitely something a lot of people are watching this weekend for Sunday. It rains a lot in during this time in Mexico City. If you look at the forecast, there's rain scheduled every day. Now, I've never lived in Mexico. I've never been to Mexico or Mexico City. So obviously, I'm not super in tuned to how the weather is. But if you just do a quick Google search, June to July to well, the summer months, really, it rains a lot. It rains every day. And it seems like it's been raining a lot there. And again, if you just do a quick Google search on Mexico City weather for the week, there's some heavy rain in the forecast for both Saturday and Sunday. The crazy thing is we've only had rain affect one race this year so far. And spoiler alert, it was the Daytona 500. I was at that race. Huge rain delay at that race. And like how fitting, not in a good way, obviously, but of course, like how NASCAR is the best way to say that. Would it be if really the two biggest races of the year, the Daytona 500 and really the most fascinating race, the international race, were both to be affected by rain? It just seems so NASCAR. But huge storyline. Obviously, Chicago and that street course with how much hype has been around that event really just never got to see that. Hopefully we get to see it this summer with no rain in the forecast, but the years that we've done Chicago, it's been affected by rain and it's put a damper on things. And so overall, I mean, we're rooting fingers crossed that the weather doesn't, come into play on Sunday, but just another factor that I think is a storyline a lot of people are watching. Let's go to another one, number three, the crowd and the atmosphere. Mexico, they love their motorsports. They do, right? They get a Formula One race. I remember when I went to Las Vegas for the Las Vegas Grand Prix, the most driver support I saw, the fans that I saw rooting for like the most for one driver was, Mexican fans rooting for Sergio Perez. There were so many Sergio Perez fans at that Las Vegas Grand Prix, more than Verstappen, more than Sainz, more than Leclerc, Hamilton. It was so many people rooting for Sergio Perez. So they love their motorsports. We know that. But I mean, overall, NASCAR wants to stay international, but it has to make sense, right? Mexico, Canada, these areas obviously make sense. It's easy to transport the cars across the borders, right? As opposed to going really international, in Europe or Australia, whatever. So it's a lot obviously easier, and NASCAR wants to stay international, but you know, it has to make sense, and I think they have to. The Mexican fans got to show out and show, good crowd, good atmosphere all good event overall, right? With things to do, which I know NASCAR will help out with that, but just the facility in general. I think the crowd and atmosphere is going to play into a lot of the storyline this week and also the storyline moving forward for NASCAR and their plans to stay and grow internationally. Again, the Mexican fans, they love their sports, they love their motorsports. So I think they will show up and show out. But again, just something to watch for this weekend. So we've talked to Denny Hamlin, we've talked the weather, we've talked the crowd and the atmosphere. Now let's go into the team that I think has the most eyes and attention on themselves this weekend. That is Trackhouse. Trackhouse, they've got drivers in both the Xfinity Series racing this week with Zilich and Suarez, as well as then the Cup race on Sunday with Suarez and SVG. All eyes, I think, are going to be on that Cup race with Daniel Suarez and SVG, both guys that I think we all have faith in that can win this race. We know the storyline if Daniel Suarez were to win, in Mexico at his home track in front of his home fans, how crazy a storyline that would be. But again, you're looking at a up and coming superstar in our sport in Connor Zilich. You're looking at an international superstar in himself in SVG, right? As well, who's got a great chance to win on Sunday. They've already got one car in the playoffs, and we know how big financially it is to get multiple cars in the playoffs and how that carries over to next year. So, you circle this race from a Trackhouse standpoint, Daniel Suarez and SVG. I mean, all eyes are on those two drivers for this Sunday. Both have a shot to win. Both, I think, are going to show up and show out and have a great car. But to me, Trackhouse is the story this weekend, both on Saturday and on Sunday, from Connor Zilich to Daniel Suarez to SVG. This is the team that I think everybody's going to be watching, and rightfully so. Trackhouse is a huge storyline this really this Saturday and Sunday. My final storyline going into the weekend is just the playoff bubble and having a playoff upset winner. How big that would be. You talk about Daniel Suarez and SVG. You can add AJ Allmendinger, Michael McDowell. There are 9 drivers right now within just 55 points of the cut line. Now, you say 55 points. Wow, that's a lot to overcome. Well, one of those guys is a JGR driver in Ty Gibbs, okay, who's within that 55-point threshold. Another is a young rising star in Carson Hocevar, who's led laps, who has finished second twice and seems to always be running in the top 5 at a lot of these tracks, right? That's another one of these guys. It's an RFK Ford, right, who's already set a top 10 or a career high in top 10s in Ryan Preece. It's multiple Cup Series winners in AJ, Mike McDowell, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Eric Jones, Austin Dillon. All of those guys are within fighting distance of that cut line, and that's Kyle Busch as well is in that pack, so you can add his name to that hat. But how crazy it would be, right, if SVG jumps that, and then now points are really, really just a lot. Like everybody's gonna be a must win at that point if a guy like Suarez or SVG were to win. I mean, just overall, I think this is one of those tracks as we look, from Sunday on to the start of the playoffs. You look at this race, you look at Atlanta, you look at Daytona as really the 3 wild, maybe even Chicago you could throw into that mix of the 4 tracks that are truly, in my opinion, wild card races. This is the first one as we approach the latter half of the regular season leading up into the playoffs. And again, the points are so tight, but that is not taking into account a guy like a Ty Gibbs, like a McDowell, like an SVG, an Austin Dillon, and Eric Jones, one of those guys to possibly win this race, especially if weather gets involved and we're looking at rain tires. All hell can absolutely break loose. So this is a huge storyline. Will we get one of those upset winners that would really just turn the playoff grid completely upside down. Those are my five biggest storylines heading into Mexico City. Denny Hamlin, the weather, the crowd and the atmosphere, Trackhouse, racing, and of course, an upset playoff winner. Want to know what you guys think? Is there a storyline that you thought I missed? Put that in the comment section below. If you want to comment on any of these storylines, you think, hey, this is a big one. Again, put that in the comments section down below. Give this video a like. It goes a long way for the channel. And of course, hit that subscribe button so you can be covered on all things motorsports betting and the fun stuff we do on the side, like a video like this for NASCAR. Thanks for watching, and let's have a Sunday.